Okay, you guys, I want you to think about what we've been doing for the past couple of days and help me remember what strategy we've been practicing. What's the focus of our instruction? Malik?
Predicting.
Right. And what have we been focusing on related to predicting? We've really been trying to hone in on something specific related to predicting. Do you remember, Maddie?
It's when the author wants you to predict, they cue you up, they want you to predict.
Exactly. So they've been cueing you in. What kinds of things do we need to know in order to make a good prediction? There's some things that we have to know about to make a good prediction. Joseph?
Background knowledge and text.
Yeah, we have to take our background knowledge and we have to combine that with our text clues in order to come up with a good prediction. What's another word for background knowledge that we sometimes use a lot around here? Emma?
Schema.
Yeah, so we got to activate our schema, figure out what we're going on with our background knowledge in order to make a prediction. What has the focus of our readings been about? Think about that first lesson, and I came in and I wanted to know all of your schema about what, Taylor?
The Civil War.
The Civil War, that's right. So we made our chart back here about all of the things that we knew about the Civil War. Then what we did is we read a book together, remember? Pink and Say. We read our book about Pink and Say, and we made predictions. But on top of that, we gave the evidence. That's the most important part. Somebody help me remember what we did yesterday. Focus us in on what we did yesterday. You remember, Chikara?
Yesterday, you brought in a book.
Mm-hmm.
You read, I think it was like a page or 2 pages of it.
Yep.
And then we started making predictions, and we started using evidence.
Exactly. So I brought in the book Bull Run. Remember, we read one section out of that book, and it was Colonel Oliver Brattle talking. And the author of this book didn't give us all of the information we needed. We had to make good predictions about it. And then we gave the evidence. Well, today we're going to do the exact same thing, except this time you're going to help me. So I've got my prediction chart ready to go, but I also have a prediction chart for each one of you. And I have my book ready to go, but I made you a copy of the text too. So here's what we're going to do. Everyone's going to get a clipboard, everyone's going to get a pencil, and everyone's going to get a piece of this text, and we're going to be ready to go, okay? So, Maya, will you take one and then pass it around so everyone gets one? And we're going to do the same thing with the clipboards. So just start passing them down and around till everybody gets one. All right, as you get your pencil, go ahead and put your name at the top. And then where it says title, let's go ahead and put Shem Suggs. We're going to read about a new person today. A new person is telling us a story. So go ahead and get Shem Suggs down there for me. If you're having a little trouble managing your materials, I can give you a suggestion. Your prediction log should definitely be clipped. But your other piece of text can sit on top, because you'll be reading before you actually make a prediction, of course. There you go. Thanks for making that snappy, guys, along the back. Grab your pencil and move on. Thank you. Andrew, if you'll just set the jug to the side of you. Thank you, honey. All right, everyone ready to go? All right, so you've got your piece of text in front of you. You've got your prediction log. I've got the same piece of text in front of me. I'm going to do a little reading, and just like yesterday, when something clues you into a prediction, I want you just to raise your hand and let's share it together. Okay, you ready to read along with me? Here we go. Shem Suggs. Horses have always served me for kin. The first time one looked back into my eyes, I knew that I was no longer alone on the earth, orphan or no. Never had one of my own to care for.
He was an orphan, and he's an orphan and he has no family.
He's an orphan and he has no family. That's a great prediction. What's the evidence in the text that led you to know that?
It says that he wasn't alone on earth, and he's also an orphan, and he had no one. Never had one of my own to care for.
Okay, let's underline that part in the text. Okay? And then let's write, He's an orphan. That's the prediction. And our evidence was the words orphan or no. And notice I'm going to put those in quotations because it came right from the text. Now I'm going to back up a little bit and keep reading. I knew that I was no longer alone on this earth, orphan or no. Never had one of my own to care for. The folks I lived with kept mules, but we'd put up wayfarers crossing Arkansas. Their horses trusted me straight away as if they'd known me from before. I'd feed them and wash them and brush them, and we'd talk.
I think that
I'm predicting
that the orphan is gonna become in the Civil War.
You're predicting that the orphan's going to take part of the Civil War? What's your evidence?
They're getting ready because it says the horses trusted me straight away.
Okay.
As if they'd known me from before.
I like the way you went back to the text to support your prediction. Do you want to add something here, Chelsea?
Like Megan said, I think that he's going to go in the Civil War, and since it says that he feeds and wash and brush his horses, maybe he's going to ride on a horse while he's fighting.
Okay, so let's write some of those things down. So we think he's going to join the war. And we think that during that time, he's going to have something to do with the horses. Okay? And let's see. Our evidence was in the text. They're getting ready. And also, he takes care of horses. You know what? I'm also thinking that this prediction that you guys just made about he's going to join the war, there is not a lot of evidence in the text so far to support that prediction. So what are you really using? What are you really using right there in order to make that prediction, Emily?
Your schema.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to note that. Okay? You're using your schema a lot, basically because you know that this book is all about the Civil War. And so you're making a prediction that he's going to join the Civil War based on what you know here from your schema. Okay, that's a really important part of predicting too. All right, I'm ready to move on. I was boarding at Mr. B's when a traveler told us about Fort Sumter. He left us a newspaper from Virginia. I was 19 and couldn't read a lick, but I spotted a picture of a horse. I asked Mr. B to read the words below. They called men to join the cavalry. Excuse me. Mr. B hated Yankees the way a broom hates dirt. I'm wondering if someone's making a prediction right then. I saw some hands go up. Audrey?
I think that it's like some type of way you could say war.
You think cavalry has something to do with the war? I would agree with you there. I'm going to share my prediction really quick. Listen to these words. Mr. B hated Yankees the way a broom hates dirt. I know that Yankees is another word for the North. So I'm predicting that Mr. B and Shem Suggs are for the South. So I'm going to write that down. So Mr. B and Shem are Southerners. I'll get you in a second, Tony. And my evidence was Mr. B hates Yankees. Tony, did you want to add something?
Well, I know that they're in South because Fort Sumter was in South Carolina because that's what we read yesterday.
Wow, what a great prediction. So you've got more evidence there for it. So we also know they're in their South because Fort Sumter was in South Carolina. I'm going to abbreviate that. And we know that's in the South. Did you guys notice what Tony was able to do? He was able to take what he knew from what we read yesterday. So that's now become part of his schema, part of his background knowledge. He's able to take that and strengthen this prediction here. Okay, that gives us even more evidence. Emily, did you want to add something?
To like Mr. B, some Southerners.
Yeah?
I think since he's the Southerners, he's probably going to fight in the war for himself.
Okay, I would agree with you there. That's probably what we can predict that with certainty, because if Mr. B hates Yankees, then they're probably from the South. What are you thinking, Desmond?
I predict that Shem
Yeah?
is probably a slave because he couldn't read.
Oh.
And he had to ask his Mr. D, which I think is his owner, to read to him.
And what are you drawing on to help that prediction?
I'm drawing on what I knew before this.
Yeah, so you're using your schema there. So let's write that down. So you're making a prediction that Shem is a slave. And you're thinking that partly because of your background knowledge, okay? But also partly because the text said, I was 19 and I couldn't read a lick. Are you guys seeing how much your background knowledge and the text clues really impact your predictions? Predicting isn't about making some random wild guess. It's about really focusing on what the text is telling you and on what you know about the subject in order to make a good prediction. We have very little left to go. We only have about 4 sentences left, and there's going to be a twist. So listen carefully as I read on. Back up a little bit. They called men to join the cavalry. Mr. B hated Yankees the way a broom hates dirt. And he started in again on Lincoln and the sovereign states and the constitutional right to secede. You got something? Go.
He must, Mr. B must have been in the Civil War.
You think Mr. B's part of the Civil War too? Tell me why.
Because he started talking about Lincoln and
He started talking.
This is before the Civil War. I think we're thinking about after.
That's a good clarification there. That's a good clarification. Desmond, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I predict that Mr. B might have been in the Mexican and
In the Mexican-American War?
Yeah.
Okay, which happened before the Civil War. So maybe he's feeling some of that like Colonel Oliver Brattle was too. I want to back up for just a second, Tony. I'll catch you in a second. Listen back here. I think I need to clarify something. Let me back up. You can follow with me. I'm backing up onto page 5. He left us a newspaper from Virginia. I was 19 and couldn't read a lick, but I spotted a picture of a horse. Now, what do we know about Shem related to horses? What do we know about him?
He loves them.
Emma, he loves them. He absolutely loves them. So he's focused in on the what?
Horse.
Exactly. I asked Mr. B to read the words below. They called men to join the cavalry. Do you know what the cavalry is? Anybody? You know what it is, Cameron?
It's like people that ride horses.
And do what in the war?
Fight.
Exactly. So this newspaper article is asking men to join the cavalry. Now, let's think this through. What do we know about Shem?
he likes horses.
He loves horses. The cavalry is asking for men to come join them.
Cavalry.
So what kind of prediction can we make there? Okay, now I got you thinking. What kind of prediction might we be able to make there, Stephen?
He's just going to join the war so he can get a horse.
Hold on. What's your evidence?
Because it says he focused in on the horse right away.
Exactly. So Shem will join the cavalry. Let me make sure I spell that word right. And our evidence for that is he focused on the horse. Do you see how I helped you come to that conclusion? Okay? I think that the reason why no one clued in on that at first is that we weren't sure what cavalry meant, right? That kind of tripped us up. If we're not sure about a word there and what it means, it can hurt our comprehension of what's going on. Desmond, did you want to add something before we move on?
I predict that Shem might join the war, and since he loves horses, he's gonna ride it, and then he might die.
I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna take us. Oh, Tony, did you want to add something? Because I only got one more sentence left.
Another reason why he hates the Yankees is because Lincoln was pretty much a Yankee, and he wanted slavery.
And you're talking about who now?
Mr. B.
Yeah, Mr. B. Listen, Mr. B hated Yankees the way a broom hates dirt. And he started in again on Lincoln and the sovereign states and the constitutional right to secede. I just nodded my head like a wooden puppet, thinking about the newspaper instead. It said they'd give me a horse.
That's what I was going on. That's what I was.
So isn't that give us even more evidence for what we're thinking right here? Let's add that in. So let's add that last sentence. It said they'd give me a horse. Now let me ask you something, because we're finished with this, but let's go back and look at our predictions here. He's going to join the war because of the horses. We know he's an orphan. Okay, we kind of got that one. We definitely feel like Mr. B and Shem are Southerners. We have enough evidence to help us there. Do we have enough evidence to know if this prediction is true, that Shem is a slave? No, we don't have enough evidence. We have some good background knowledge, and we have some text support, but we don't know whether or not that one is accurate. Do we feel really good about this one, that he's going to join the cavalry? Absolutely. Sum up for me here. Keep your paper still. Tell me how making predictions while you're reading helps your comprehension. Tell me that. Stephen, do you have some good words?
It'll give you like a better view of what's going on.
Absolutely. Can you explain that a little? Go ahead.
It will help you understand.
In what way? What does it actually force you to do?
Think.
It forces you to think. Just about the story, or does it help you think about it on like a deeper level? What do you think? Go ahead, Megan.
A deeper level.
Yeah, I think so. Were you going to add something, Chelsea?
It might help you think more because you know more about the text and the story, and then you could think more about it.
Exactly. I agree. You guys did a wonderful job. You want to add one more thing, Megan?
You predict when you don't even know.
Yeah. Exactly. Because we know that good readers make predictions the whole time that they're reading, even if you don't even realize that you're doing it. And we talked about that the first day, remember? When I said, have you ever been surprised by a story? Yeah. When you're surprised, you've made a prediction and you didn't even realize it before. Okay? Thank you guys so much. You did a wonderful, wonderful job.